All right, welcome to this this particular webinar, GIS for Real Estate Professional. All right, as I rightly said, we hosted this webinar last week where we talk about how you can use GIS as a real estate professional or as a GIS professional to actually manage your real estate business. All right, in terms of marketing your real estate to clients, in terms of administrative, or in terms of managing those properties you have, all right, using this technology, GIS. Now, one of the major things that you consider why GIS is necessary is because it's dealing with something that has to do with location, okay, and because of that, we have, and then when we talk about real estate, we know that okay, this has to do with different properties in different locations and stuff like that, right? So that is the main reason for this particular webinar. We will look at how we can explain to you how and demonstrate to you how we at ArcGIS manage our real estate activities using GIS, all right? And we not just train, we apply them, okay? And we have a lot of real estate companies in Kaduna here we consult for, where we build GIS database for them. All right. So any of you, if you are a GIS person and possibly you are good in the GIS tools, you can be able to market these particular applications to real estate agency as well. All right. So without wasting much of your time, I'm going to share my screen. All right. So we'll look at we are going to look at the slides. All right, we'll look at the slide and then let me accept. Okay, we'll look at the slides. Then after that, we can go straight to our QGIS, where I'm going to demonstrate some of our database and then how we use them. But I just want to have a short slide on this particular topic. All right, at CAD and GIS, we don't necessarily do much of theory. We focus on practical, even in our training. All right, so my name is Ago Sunday from CAD and GIS Center. As you all know, we focus on CAD and GIS training. All right, that's what we do, and then we organize webinars. All right, free webinars where we give different applications of GIS. All right, so I'm going to share my screen now. Okay, I believe everyone is seeing my screen, and then you can also hear me perfectly. All right. Okay, so if you can see me, if you can see my screen, all right, I will go straight to our slide. Okay. Let me hide this somewhere so that I can be able to accept other participants where they come in. All right. Okay. This is our slide. Okay. This is not the first. All right. GIS for Real Estate Professional, organized by CAD and GIS Center. All right. If you all know, GIS is Geographic Information System. All right. Has to do with information that has to do with environment. All right, that is what the whole thing about GIS is all about. And one of the major things we consider is the fact that GIS integrates geographic data with property information. All right, as a real estate professional, you have different information about your properties that you want to manage or you want to market. So GIS help you to integrate those informations, and then it's also help investors to analyze locations, advantage, and infrastructural assets. Okay, you can be able to assess or give you analysis of the location of the particular properties and also the access to that particular property, where you can do analysis. You can display it to your client to be able to know, okay, this property is located in so place, and this is the access road, and this is the distance from the main road to that particular property, right? And then it supports evidence-based property development decisions. Now, when you are making decision with GIS, it's not just an assumption, all right? It has to do with evidence. You see it, all right? You have visualized the thing using your GIS technology, all right? And then any decisions you are making is actually an evidence-based decision. Okay. Also, we are going to look at the two major areas of this application of GIS in terms of real estate. The two major places we are going to focus on is how you use GIS to market your property. Okay. Mr. Raymond, please can you mute yourself? Okay. So that it not disrupt the process. Okay. So one of the major area is marketing. All right, how can you use GIS to market your property to your clients? Mr. Raymond, please can you mute yourself, please? Okay, thank you. All right, so as I rightly said, one of the major area is marketing. All right, how do you use GIS to market your properties? And then secondly is administration. All right, how do you use GIS to manage your real estate administration process? Okay, within your office, you have a property that you are managing, you have a property that you are selling. How do you use GIS to manage and coordinate that property? All right. So these are the two major areas we are going to focus in terms of real estate. Although there are a lot of other activities in real estate, but with these two, if you can actually use GIS, it will be a great advantage to you. Right. This image is just showing us a satellite image. Okay, somewhere in Kaduna. Okay, and as you can see, this is what we are going to look at mostly in terms of viewing our property using Google Map or using any satellite image provider. All right, you can view your property and you can give you such view, even more clearer view, depending on the kind of satellite image you are using and the resolution that you are using. Okay, so this slide just showing you how the satellite image look like. So you are using possibly your Google Map in your phone or any image that you are using. You definitely have come across this before. Okay, then we talk about location intelligence. Okay, one of the important of GIS is, or advantage to you as a real estate professional or as you that want to actually apply GIS to real estate, is location intelligence. All right, location intelligence in the sense that you can be able to navigate to any location as far as issue of property display or property marketing is concerned. Okay, so it will help you to analyze proximity to the roads. All right, when talk about the location of the property, the GIS technology helps you to analyze the proximity. How close is the property to the road? All right, what are the existing features there? Is the property close to a particular school? Is it close to a hospital? Is it close to a market? All right, now you can be able to see all those things from your GIS platform. All right, which definitely aid a lot of decisions that the client make in terms of purchasing any particular property. All right, and also it helps us to identify high value development zone. All right, we have zone, right, where we look at the cluster of development from the satellite image. You look at, okay, which kind of people reside in this particular place. All right, okay, is it high density area, low density area, and the rest of them? It will help you in your decision, and then help the client also. When you display all those data to the client, it will help them to take decision whether to buy the property. The whole essence of this is that it will reduce the stress of, okay, the client has to just go to the property location first before taking decision. All right, but if you can be able to show or display all these things to your client from the comfort of your office using GIS, it actually reduce a lot of time wastage and possibly the cost as well of going to that site. All right, and as I said, it supports real estate marketing strategy. Okay, it will definitely aid your marketing strategy. All right, this very picture actually shows the proximity analysis, as I said in the last slide. All right, where we look at the property. The red color here is the property, and then this is the road. All right, and it's telling us, okay, this particular land, because now this is actually an empty place. If you are looking at the satellite, you know that this is not a well developed place. All right, it's like an empty land. All right, with a few buildings around there, but you can be able to tell your client, okay, it's at so road, and then from the main road to that particular land or that particular property is approximately 0.31 kilometer. All right. Now, if you show the client, okay, this property is so place, and is the distance from the main road to that particular property is this. At least that client, if you want to take decision, or if that place, if it has to do with discouraging himself of purchasing that property, he will definitely do that immediately. But if you go ahead, okay, you can show me the property, then you can actually show. You can now go further to actually display the property. Okay, I hope you guys can hear me. I lost connection. I hope you guys can hear me, please. It's like, okay, you can hear me. Okay, thank you. All right, I'll continue. All right, so the next slide we talk about site suitability analysis. Now, another advantage that GIS can help you is that it helps you to understand the terrain of a particular property without necessarily visiting that particular site. You can be able to know if that place is waterlogged, all right, if there is a lot of gully and the rest of them in that particular place, all right, and you can be able to know the flood risk identification, all right, where you can be able to identify if that place is prone to erosions and the rest of them. Okay, and it also helps you in selecting optimal land for development. So if you can be able to analyze all this from the comfort of the office, then you can be able to identify the right and a good land for development, or the right property for your client. Now, the next image has to show us a terrain of a particular place close to River Kaduna. All right. Now, when you look at a place from satellite image that is waterlogged, it's always kind of green. All right, and then you can be able to see maybe some gully and the rest of them. All right, so this image is just for you to show you ideas of how some terrain look like. So you can actually recommend some places like this, maybe somewhere like this. You can actually recommend it to your client for residential development, except maybe it's for agricultural purpose and stuff like that. Okay. I think so. With that, you can actually be able to explain it to your client. This place, okay, you see that there's water here and stuff like that, and if the person wants to take it maybe for recreational purpose and the rest, he can still consider that. Okay. Now, this is parcel and cadastral GIS map example. This gives us, as I rightly said, we look at the marketing, and then we look at the management of our land, property marketing, property management as well. So this is how a layout look like. All right, a layout of a land. When you have a layout and then you want to sell. All right, so this is how it look like. Okay, I believe everybody actually have idea of how this do. Sorry, excuse me. Let me see if I can accept other participants. Okay, so we can continue. All right, so the next slide has to do with land information system. Now, the whole essence of GIS is the fact that you have information about the property that is integrated into a particular platform or into a polygon. For example, all the information that that we have in GIS environment, we can actually have them in Excel, right? But the difference is that Excel is not linked to any polygon. It's not linked to the real world boundary of that particular GIS platform or that particular property. All right, so you might have your Excel separately, and they have the picture of the property separately, and the rest of them. But now the GIS integrate everything together. You can be able, immediately you click on the property, it will display all the information about that properties, everything that you need to know, or everything that the client need to know before taking decision to buy the property. Now, that does not mean that the client will not visit the site, but at least it has convinced the client that, okay, this place, I like this place and stuff like that. So even if he is going to that place and is taking care of all the expenses or the logistics, at least at that point, he can spend anything because he likes the place. It's so annoying that, okay, when you meet some agent they'll say, okay, they have this property. Maybe tell them you want this so bedroom and the rest of them, and then they will take you to locations that even when you actually give them a specification on what you want, they will actually take you to one place that you don't actually like at all. And the point is that you are the one that will take care of all the expenses, pay their transport and everything and the rest of them. So just to reduce that, all right, that discomfort for your clients, you can be able to build this particular system for in your office where you can possibly display those informations and make your land management or tenancy management easy. All right. All right. So the case study, we are going to demonstrate layout land allocation management database and then the property renter database. All right. So we are going to display that now. Okay. I hope everyone is flowing with me. Okay, I need a top up if you actually hearing me, please. All right, I need a top up if you are hearing me, so that we can go to the next slide. Okay, all right. So I believe you are hearing me. Okay, so I'll go to the slides. So I'm going to open my QGIS now. All right, QGIS is the software that we are going to use. All right, we have in GIS platform, we have ArcGIS as a software, and then we have QGIS. Okay. Now, one of the advantage why as an organization we recommend QGIS is because it's open source. All right, you don't need to pay for a license before you can access some certain features. So if you are using ArcGIS, if you don't actually buy the license, then you are using it illegally, maybe the cracked one. All right, and then because of that, you cannot be able to access some tools that you're supposed to use. So personally, as an organization, we focus on QGIS, and in terms of project implementation, it is actually important to use QGIS, because when, for example, if you convince, let's assume you are a GIS professional, and after this training you want to actually make a presentation to a real estate professional for you to build a database for them, and then you are telling them, okay, if you build this database every year, you are going to be paying certain amount of money for you to maintain the software. You discover that a lot of that alone will actually discourage a lot of people as far as Africa is concerned. All right, so that is why we recommend the open source software. All right, so what you need only is for you to actually agree with them, and then you build a database for them, and then they will continue using them. All right, without necessarily need to pay for any additional license. All right, so I will go straight to my QGIS. All right, so this is QGIS. Now we have the first layer we have here is rental property database. So I have few properties here for this particular presentation. So I'm going to open the attribute table. So presently I have about 5 properties here that we are managing for this particular presentation. All right, as I rightly said, we have a lot of real estate companies that we are managing their properties, so we don't actually need to display them here. All right, so I'll continue. So now let's assume we have this property. Now somebody come to your office and they say, okay, I need properties in so location. All right, or you need properties, let me use Kaduna as an example. You need property in Anguantama. All right, in Anguantama. All right, so I'll go through my database and then I see, okay, I have property in Anguantama. All right, so this is one of the property I have in Anguantama. So I'll click here, I'll select the properties, and then I'll click this zoom map to a selected row. I'll click on it. All right, then I'll go to my screen, so it automatically takes us to that particular property. All right, so it automatically takes us to that particular property where you can be able to, now on that particular property you can display information. If I use my identifier tools, if I click here, it displays all the information about the property. It's a residential property, number of rooms is 3 rooms, is there borehole? No. Okay, so there's no borehole. Many other things, like we attach the pictures of that properties so that the client can see all the rooms on that property. So you attach them, the pictures, and then the client can be able to see everything about the property. All right. So let's say he want property somewhere in Banawa. All right. So I'll do the same. Okay, and then I'll take me to that property. All right. Now the first one will just view only the information on the that we input into the database. All right, which you can build different database. All right, in terms of the information that you're going to have in your database. Okay, so now this is the property. All right, and I can actually deselect it because it's selected now. Based on if I will select it from that place, as I rightly say, we can view the information about the property. If the property number of rooms is 4 bedroom, borehole, yes, this particular project have borehole, electricity, yes, drainages, yes, all those information about that properties, you feel it, because clients might be interested in it, especially when, let's assume they want to buy, because in your database you can actually separate the ones that you are selling and then the one that is for renting. Okay, so having said that, I will close this, and now I'll look at this property now. Now another thing again is that I can still show the client the exact location, that is the view of the place, that is the street view of the place, where you see the real information. So what I'll do, I have a tools here. All right, they call it Google Street View. All right, it's a plugin in QGIS. I call it Google Street View. You click on it. All right, click on it. As far as it's activated, I'll now click on the road that I want to view. All right, I want to view this road, so I'll click on it. It will now load. All right, so depend on your the internet connections you have. All right, to determine the speed of your loading. So you can see now this is the street. Now you are showing your client all this. You show the client, okay, the size of the property or the size of the room and the rest of them, and then you also take the client to the street of that particular place and show him, oh, how this is the place. From here you are already seeing that there is a light in that particular street, and then you see how neat is that particular street and all. At least this alone can actually give that client that conviction whether to buy the properties or to rent the property. All right, so you have your 3D view, all right, provided by Google. All right, so this information is available everywhere. Let's assume every town. Let me use the word every town. All right, so you can continue to zoom, all right, and see more. So if you want to continue in that street, you can continue, all right, and you can turn and see more of the place. All right, so I'll go back to my QGIS now. All right, so okay, so now this is what you show your client, right? So if you show your client all this, at least it actually convince him, let me say 60 or 70%, okay, of all the things that he's supposed to know about that property. All right, it has to do with personal investigation. So now if you show me this kind of thing and I like the area, if I'm spending any amount to go to that place to go and see the properties, I'm not seeing that as waste of money. All right, but these are some of the things that a lot of agents do, or a lot of real estate properties or real estate manager do not do, because if you want to buy property immediately, they will tell you, okay, I have property in so place, okay, fill form, so amount, okay, let's go to the place. You have to take care of the expenses, and then you go to that place, and then the place is not the area you want at all. All right, so this is what this thing is trying to solve. This is what we solve in our office here in Kaduna. We have a big screen for that, dedicated for digital property display. All right, so if we want to show our clients any of the property, we show them everything. All right, the distance and everything. Even if the land is in the bush, we can be able to show them, okay, this is the distance to the road, and all that. Okay, the size of the land and every information that the client is supposed to know. Now, if our field staff is taking the client to that particular site, now you know that the client already have a good information about that particular property, so it's no longer wasting his money. Okay, I'll go to the next one. So this is rental database management in terms of you that is managing properties or selling properties in different locations. All right, the properties that are not in one place, like layouts. All right, so you use this particular approach to manage, because client might want property in this village or in this community, in the next street, in the other street, and stuff like that. So you build all your database into your system, and then can be able to navigate and show them whatever they want. All right, so the next one, it has to do with layout management, or layout allocation management, where you have a plot, or you acquire a plot of land, all right, or a hectares of land, and then you decide to, just a minute, let me accept participants. Open space. Okay, I'll go back again. All right, so this, you actually acquired a land, all right, and then you want to you subdivide it, possibly do some things, and then you want to sell them. All right, you do what you call allocation. You allocate properties. This is actually land administration process, all right, which has to do with your property management. All right, so this is your own properties, you have it, and then you want to be allocating it to people. Now, what this database does to avoid issue of now the same the technology you use in terms of marketing the location of the properties, showing the distance of the property to the main road, or the distance of the layout to the main road, and everything that is supposed to do from our previous demonstration. You can do the same thing here to market your layout to people. All right, that is terms of marketing. Then in terms of administration, all right, where you do allocation, all right, and then allocation management. Now, one of the challenges that is discovered that, okay, you allocate this land to somebody, and then possibly at the cost of allocation again, maybe you allocate that the same plot to another person. Reason, because you are using an Excel, you are having a layout somewhere, maybe you are using color to be marking them, okay, this is this and all that, but there is no integration, all right, which is bound to a lot of mistakes. Now, so this database you are seeing here is developed for real estate or property allocation. Now, what it does is that, for example, now if I click on the layout, all right, I can start my editing and then click on identifier tools, all right, and then I click any of this property. Let's say if I click on this property now, it displays every information about the property, all right. Now, like the full name, all right, the name of the person that actually owns that property, that is the person you are allocating that property to, the state, the city and the rest, the local government, the phone number of the person, the email of the person, the date of birth of the person, all right, the age group. Now, this age group now has to be a drop down from age, so you can select from age 18 to 20, from 25 to this, and the rest of them, all right. So it's a drop down. And then how do you know about us? Like in terms of your marketing strategy, how do they know, so that you know which area of marketing that you can focus more in terms of marketing your properties. And we have the land use, all right. The land use information is built into your database. Now, the point here is that your own database must not contain every information here, all right. We are using this as a sample for this particular presentation or this particular webinar. All right, so we have land use, commercial, residential, worship center, health centers, and school, and the rest of them. All right, the plot number, the block number, the number of plots, payment method, that is our payment plan. We have outright, pay small, and the rest of them. Form of identity, like which identity card are you using? Is it national ID card or driver license? All right, the identity ID number, the ID photo. All right, you can upload the photo here. For example, now if I click this particular photo, all right, if I click this particular photo, it will display the photo that you have matched with this photo. For example, now I can click here now, and then I'll just match any photo. All right, I can just use any photo here to just match as an example. Okay, let me use this picture as a photo for an ID. All right, and then we talk about from the beginning. Also, you have the photo itself, which is the passport of the applicant or the person that you are locating. So now let's assume after you build all this, and then you want to see just for you to click, and then to display the passport of the person. The same thing with the receipt, payment receipt, and every other information. Offer letter, like you have generated an offer letter for the person, you upload the offer letter here, the date that particular allocation is signed. There's a drop down of selecting your date here, and the type of form and everything, whether it's physical and online form, based on the level of your organizations. If they have an online platform where any people can actually fill form and apply for your land to buy your land, right? Other information like next of kin. Let's assume anybody that is paying small, doing part payment platform, possibly need to give all those information in case of any emergency. All right. So land sizes. We have the size of the land, which is auto-calculated. That is why you see that it's already filled here. It's auto-calculated and the rest. Now, the interesting thing about this is that the allocation status. For example, now why this color is showing red here or orange here is because the allocation status is saying yes. That's to say this particular property you have allocated it. Now, let me go to a new property. Let's say this one now. Let's say this. I'll click on it. All right. I will write the name. Now, if you look at the name, the full name is colored because it's compulsory. So I'll write the name here. All right. Any other one is not compulsory. So I'll just go straight to my allocation status and show that I've allocated this property. No, you see that it's showing no before, right? So now I've allocated it, and I'll say yes, that this particular land or this particular plot has been allocated. So I'll click OK. Now as I click on it, OK, it is covered that it automatically changed the color. All right. Now that is the interesting things about this particular database. So any land, any area that you allocate, the color will automatically be changing. All right. And then we have other colors here, like if you look at the drop down. Okay, if you look at the drop down we have there, we have under the allocation status, we have yes, we have no, and then we have reserve. Let's assume there's some part of the plot or the part of the layout that you just reserve there. You don't want to be selling them. Not that you have allocated it to anybody, but you don't want to start selling them now. All right, so you just reserve them, so you can put a different color for that as reserve. All right, so you can see that is color change. So when it is reserved, the color immediately change. All right, so we have it contains the road name, all right, the plot number, the beacon numbers, and every other information that is supposed to have in terms of your land allocation. Okay, so this is what the land allocation database is all about. All right, you can definitely build this for your organization. All right, using your GIS skills that you have, you discover that everything you are seeing here is within point, line, and polygon. All right, and if you have attended any of our class before, you know that even our first video of QGIS actually explain how you can create your point, line, and polygon and add all those informations to it. All right, Mr. Daddy Ajay, please can you mute yourself, please? Please, can you mute yourself?
Yeah.
Mr. Daddy, please mute yourself. Mute yourself.
Okay.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Daddy. Mr. Daddy Ajay is currently our student, if I can recollect the name perfectly. All right, so I think this is the end of the presentation. Is there any question? All right, before we round up this particular section, is there any question as to what I've explained? It's actually an interesting thing as far as you want to build yourself in real estate, okay, or in real estate management. You don't necessarily be that you must actually go into real estate, but as a GIS person, you can build a system that can actually help people manage their real estate properties. So, Aliyu, Aminu, do you have a question?
Yes, I have a question.
Okay, sir.
Please, my question is that this layout that you show us here, does it mean like this particular layout is for only one person?
No, it's not. It's not for only one person. I see that when I'm filling the, I think I'll share my screen again. Now, like if I allocate this plot number 1 to somebody, to Mr. Aliyu, okay, I can allocate the other plot to Mr. Daji or Mr. John or Mr. anybody. You understand? So it's,
yeah, I understand.
Yes.
I understand. What I mean is that this particular location, let's just say this location is maybe Barnawa. Yes. So this site is for only one person. You will sell it to anybody you want.
Yes, you sell it to anybody you want, but it belongs to a particular estate properties. Like let's assume you acquire a land and then you subdivide it, so you are the one that is doing the allocation. So it belongs to one company that is doing the allocation. Yeah. And you can sell it. Yeah. You can sell it to different people. Yes, yes. Yes.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Yes. Any other question? Any question, please? Ali Osman, do you have a question? Ali Osman, please, your place is noisy, so if you... We can't hear you. We can't hear you. Okay.
Okay, how about now?
Yes, I can hear you now, sir. Yeah, continue.
My question is about the database. Am I going to access the database through the QGIS platform, or?
Yes.
Because when you're talking about this, because yes, your screen went off when you're talking about the database.
Oh, okay. Like throughout, yes. Like when I was demonstrating on the database, my screen went off.
Oh, yes. That I was not even like we complained. I think 3 people complained about it.
Oh, sorry for that. All right, the database is something that you build in QGIS using the QGIS software. All right, and those that actually attend from our last when we do the last webinar. There are some people that have started some classes with us. Those that watch the first video on how you create point, line, and polygon, you can actually be able to actually build this database now. So the point is, you build a database using QGIS. All right. I'll display the database again. Look at it. You build it using QGIS. So as you can see, this is QGIS environment. Okay. So you build it using QGIS. Okay.
Okay.
Yes, sir. All right. Thank you, Mr. Aliyu Osman. Any other question before we summarize this class? Okay. All right. So I think I can round up this class. As I rightly said, after the last webinar, the last week webinar, we actually give a discount for this particular course. Ali Osman, do you have a question again? It's like you are raising your hand up.
No, it's Abdullah Abubakar, Daddy Ajia.
Okay, Daddy Ajia. Okay, sir. All right, sir. Can you ask your question, please?
Actually, sorry, I joined late. Actually, I have missed a lot. So I don't know if we can be able to have the clip of this class.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I will. Yes, there's a video. I will possibly edit it maybe today, and then the video will be available tomorrow. By tomorrow,
Okay,
the
thank you
video
so
will be
much.
available. Yes, yes, yes.
Thank you so much, sir.
Yes, yes. Thank you very much, sir. All right, so thank you very much. As I rightly said, we have a discount for those that have not, maybe you are not in our last class, and then also if you are not in our WhatsApp group, because we actually have a WhatsApp group for this particular GIS for real estate professional. I don't know if there's anybody here that is not in that WhatsApp group, all right? But if you're not in the WhatsApp group, we have an email, all right, which you can actually contact us from the email, which we can send you any information or send you the link to the WhatsApp group for easy communication, all right? And now the truth is that last week we give a discount of 10,000 where you can get this complete training, where we can teach you how you can build this database and how you can use GIS for real estate, all right? But that offer actually ended today because the plea from that meeting was to actually increase the offer for 1 week, which we did, and then it ended today. All right. So anybody that is interested in this particular course, we are going to give the discount, and this time around it's going to be 15,000. All right. It's no longer 10,000. All right, because this is a course. Our QGIS class is actually 60,000. All right. So if you want to take a complete QGIS training, not relating to just real estate only, like the whole GIS tools, like up to the extent of producing map and any other analysis that's supposed to do, is 60,000. All right, but we are now giving you this particular training as low as 50,000. I mean, as low as 15,000, which is actually a great discount for everyone. So we can still give the grace of maybe from now till, let's say from now till Tuesday next week. All right, I think we can do that so that we can be able, those that have paid have already started their class, because our classes we do is one-on-one. It's only our online webinar like this that we combine people. But any of our classes, for that class to be effective, we take the students on their own. Like, you don't need to combine them because your speed might be different from the other person. So we discover that the knowledge will not be evenly distributed. So that's why we handle our students separately. So if you have any question, you can ask us directly. All right. And as I rightly said, there are a lot of faces that I've recognized here, and I believe they have already possibly know how to use QGIS already. All right. So if you just want to get just the how can I apply this, how can I build this database, and another thing again is that if you want us to build this database for you, we are actually open, and we are giving a 50% discount for any of our students or any of our participants that want us to build a complete database for them for their real estate, whether it's land allocation database or tenant or rental management or rental database. All right, so we give a 50% discount for that. Why it's not a fixed price is it has to do with the size of your database. All right, so we cannot say okay, you are going to pay so amount, but we are going to give you the 50% discount on any database that we are building for any of our applicants or any of our webinar participants. So in our time, we have few minutes to the end of the presentation, and I'm happy that we actually meet up with the time, because we don't want to, we fix this time because we want it to balance between the prayer time of our Muslim brothers, so that it will not affect their prayer time, and we try not to take temper with their time at all as far as that is concerned. So we have our, if you are within Kaduna, we have our office in Millennium City and then in Sabo. All right, so you can access it. If you are in Kaduna North, you can be on the rest of the Zaria, you can actually easily access Millennium City. And then if you are in Kaduna South and the rest, Kachia and the rest, you can actually access Sabo easily. All right, so that is why we distribute our center for full practical training if you want to come for physical training, but most of our classes is online. All right, so you can actually take our online class. So as I rightly said, the slides and the video will be available shortly, possibly today or tomorrow. We make the video available, and then the slide also be available. You can go through it, you can watch the video and share it to other real estate professionals so that they have idea. The most important thing is for you to have idea that, okay, I can actually use this. All right, then from there now you can source for the knowledge. All right, so what we are doing here is not just because we want to train you. No, we are just creating awareness, like, okay, this thing like this exists. Like in our next webinar, we are trying to look at GIS for election campaign planning and mapping. All right, because you know this is an election time, and then the whole essence is that you can actually make a proposal to somebody that can, okay, help us do this. All right, so we'll be looking at GIS for election campaign planning and mapping. All right, where you can map campaign locations and the route for campaigns and stuff like that. So it's actually an interesting topic, and I want everyone to be here, but we're going to communicate that to you as well. All right, so thank you very much for this time, and then have a nice weekend.